Actually, it's good you're here a few minutes early because I'm going to try and hit a train in about an hour, which gives us plenty of time to do this. So a few extra
Sweet.
minutes doesn't hurt.
No. No, I notice I think the average runtime lately in the past couple ones, with the exception of Stopover in a Quiet Town, I think it's been about 45 minutes or so you've been doing.
Yeah, yeah. Season four episodes. It seems that the longer episodes of The Twilight Zone did actually result in somewhat longer podcast episodes when we were doing those.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just having a look. Actually, this one's pretty consistent. I think it's the Planet of the Apes one where they've gotten a little shorter because one, we haven't had any guests recently because the Planet of the Apes TV show isn't really a big ticket item, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's
And
fun
I'm
to look
sure
through, but yeah, but at a
and I'm
certain
sure when you
point,
get to the cartoon series, it's going to be hard to find, right? Or did you say they're all on YouTube?
no, they're all on YouTube. Actually, the cartoon series I think is like held in higher regard. Like I think that DVD set's still in print, whereas the live action one's not. So theoretically, it should be better when we get to the animated one, which I've never seen, and we can pretty much I think invite all the guests again for another round. So
Yeah.
just maybe we'll spread them out a little more this time, because that one was like guest, no guest, guest, no guest, guest, no guest, no guest, no guest, no, just whatever. So. Um, Actually, I don't always need one. It's just, like at this point, guests is like people I want to talk to. I don't really go searching for new guests that often anymore.
Does it feel weird that you're on the final three episodes, final four episodes
Yeah, yeah,
recording?
yeah. I see. I've already recorded the two after this. Like I've recorded Whipples and whatever's after Whipples. Come Wander with Me. Yeah, I've already.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one just like fell through the scheduling hole a little bit, I guess. But
Yeah.
well, if you are ready, I'm gonna bring
Oh,
up
I
my notes.
forgot to pop up the opening.
I can put that in
Um,
the chat.
okay. So you can't do that again?
Yeah, I always
It's
have it
like
on the
because
ready.
I remember it used to be a little fussy, but because then you were asking people, could you please pull it up?
Yeah, yeah, I try and do it before I do start the show proper.
All
It
right.
should be in your chat now.
All right. Ooh,
Okay,
got
you
a
got
long
that?
one.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
long one. You got a tone
I'll
this
try
week.
not to flubble fumble.
Yeah. Okay, give me a 5 second pause and I will start the shoe.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Time Enough Podcast. It's where we travel from town to town of all the towns of the episodes of The Twilight Zone. Yeah, making that sweaty intro this week. As always, this is Matt here. Over there coming back at Sean. Hi. Thanks for bopping in.
Yeah. I mean, you threw up the bat signal
Yeah, I
when I
sent out the
called you.
bat signal. You are pinch hitting. Inside baseball. Regular guest Andrew is going to do this episode. His power went out. His internet went out. I'm recording this one kind of late, so you are doing a solid and bopping in for this one today.
Yeah, I figured this was either going to be an Andrew or John episode.
Okay, it was an Andrew request. I told him
Yeah.
we'll flip it. He'll give him the fear, and he was like,
Hey,
"Yes, I love the fear." So,
I like how this worked out though, because originally when you were making the schedules for who wanted what season five, I had requested this, and you told me it was already spoken for. So
oh, okay, that works
by
out.
fate, it worked out.
Yeah, I've been continuing this bit, which is not a bit because I really do just have the list for season five guests on my work computer. Never send it to myself for some reason. I know it's kind of fun that way. Also, that way when I do a switch like this, it's not stressful because I'm the only person who knows what the list even said in the first place. So it's kind of nice. But yeah, Mr. Garrity and Graves. Okay, good. This is your choice. What sparks this episode to you?
I like ghost stuff. I like when raising the dead and stuff like that. And could you call them zombies? I don't know. Will these
I
people
was
be
about
considered
to
zombies?
counter. I was like, I feel like we're more in like proto-zombie territory here
Hmm.
because this is, I mean, zombies as we know them, I think pretty much do show up with George Romero's Night of the Living Dead 1968. So I mean, there's stuff like it before, there's like, voodoo zombies and there's movies in the 30s and 40s that have zombie-like things, but I don't think we fully solidify a zombie until the late 60s. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I didn't fully have time to do a lot of research. Like I like to do some extra research and look up stuff. Like I only got a few lines of notes, but we'll make this a good episode. But yeah, no, I was looking I'm trying to make my point now that I forgot. Sorry, what were you saying? What were
When
we saying
zombies
before?
enter pop
Oh
culture,
yes, okay. George Romero, I think he had talked about actually seeing the one of the final scenes of this episode, how that whole town is kind of raising from the dead and they're walking out. And I think he kind of used it as inspiration, like when he was making the zombies movies. I
that
I don't know confirm I can't confirm that, but I thought I might have read that somewhere.
I mean, there's lots of images from the Twilight Zone that, like later show up as in a very different form for someone's inspiration. Again, we were talking back with Owl Creek Bridge several weeks ago that, wow, David Lynch really sparked up to the sound design of this. And when you watch David Lynch movies, the sound design is one of the key things there. So that's technically, I mean, Owl Creek was bought by the Twilight Zone, not produced by the Twilight Zone, but yeah, the idea holds. So I can very easily see the final shot of this, like sparking a young Romero to put those images into his movies a few years later.
It's such a good scene. We'll get to that later, but I feel like it's such a good scene too, like the shot and everything.
Yeah, that would be the money shot here. I have noticed in season five the return of some money shot. Season one, two, like every episode had one. The Jeopardy room, we were just talking about how they kind of fumbled that by superimposing a real crap looking explosion at the end. But I thought it was fun. But yeah, it's not a great effect. It's a bad money shot. This is a great money shot. This is
I
like
am
the
imagining since you watch it on Blu-ray, don't you?
yeah, yeah.
It was probably a little more noticeable when you're watching a Blu-ray, right?
It was
Like,
like, well, the thing is, it's a split second effect, so it doesn't really end the world. It's not like we
mhm.
dwell on it much, but you're like, did they do that right? And then we move on. Then we got Landau on his phone at the airport or whatever. So, um, this one works though. This one very evocative, possibly inspirational. I mean, for filmmakers, but not inspirational for your life or your.
Inspired
Well,
by a true story too. I wanted to copy the quote, but it was like half a paragraph. I didn't feel like reading the whole thing, but
I did put
yeah,
that in my notes, but I did paraphrase. I did not put the actual quote. I think I did see the same quote you're talking about, though.
yeah,
Um, I guess I'll get into a bit of that trivia then, and then we'll
yeah.
lay
Let's
that
do
on
it.
the table.
Trivia me up, Matthew.
Original air date was May 8th, 1964. Script is a Serling, but based off of a story by Mike Korologos. Korologos was a sports writer and was inspired by an incident in Alta, Utah in 1873 in which a stranger arrived in their town, offered to raise the dead. They became interested, but then rethought that it would be too complicated due to remarriages, land deeds having shifted to other people, etc., and paid the man to go away. Ted Post
Yeah,
is
so they
back.
raised sorry
Yeah,
to interrupt you there, but
they
it says
raised
they raised
money,
like what 2,500
something
get
like
rid of
that.
them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's some prime hucksterdom, I guess. King of the hucksters or whatever. But Ted Post is back to direct. His name will always be synonymous with Beneath the Planet of the Apes for me. But maybe you are more into Hang 'em High or Magnum Force if that's your kind of guy. He directed those. John Denner was Jared Garrity. Denner played plenty of conmen, hustlers, and such, but his biggest claim to fame was as Paladin on the radio version of Have Gun Will Travel from 1958 to 1960. Here in the zone, we've caught him before in the episodes The Lonely and The Jungle, which you were here for.
Yeah.
Mr. Gooberman was J. Pat O'Malley. He made a splash on Broadway for those Broadway versions of 10 Little Indians and Dial M for Murder. We saw him previously in the Twilight Zone with The Fugitive. You were also here for The Fugitive, weren't you?
They also said he was here for uh oh God, what was it? The self-improvement of Salvador Ross, but I don't remember him in that episode.
I don't either. Well, when I was doing my research, I got a big screenshot of him carrying that girl in The Fugitive. So I was like, okay, that's an easy hit.
Yeah.
Stanley Adams was Jensen. Trekkies may remember him as Cyrano Jones in The Trouble with Tribbles. He was also a screenwriter, though he rarely acted and screenwrote at the same time. But he has another Trek hit for co-writing the episode The Mark of Gideon over on that side. So Ace was played by John Mitchum. If you had a double take, he was the younger brother of actor Robert Mitchum. In film, he appeared as Frank Di Giorgio in the first three Dirty Harry films. They offed him in The Enforcer. Is Magnum Force the second or fourth? That would try a few more bows on this.
Forget what order there is, but yeah, I noticed that guy starting quite a few Dirty Harry stuff. And you said the director has Clint Eastwood ties, so
Ted
I
Post did
guess
Magnum
there's Clint
Force,
Eastwood
which
ties
is
in
one
this.
of the Magnum Force is a Dirty Harry movie, right? I've never been a Dirty
Yes,
Harry
yes.
guy, so
I've only seen the first one, and I went on a streaming service to go watch the rest of them, but they took them down. It's like,
oh
oh,
no,
dang it.
that physical media. Like
Yeah, I know.
in the last Blu-ray apocalypse, I got like 10 like 21st century Eastwoods, and maybe I got the Unforgiven in there too. But like not. That's the funny thing about Clint Eastwood. He's been an old man for what 40 years now, 50 years. I mean, how long has Clint Eastwood just been old?
Yeah, really, really.
But hey, he put out a movie what last year? I think he said it's his last one, but hey, he still did it. That's pretty good when you're 92, 3, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Sean, it is a bit of a tome today, but if you could give us that opening narration.
All right. Introducing Mr. Jared Garrity, a gentleman of commerce who, in the later half of the 19th century, plied his trade in the wild and woolly hinterlands of American West. And Mr. Garrity, if one can believe him, is a resurrector of the dead, which on the face of it certainly sounds like the bull is off the nickel. What? Uh, but to the scoffers amongst you, and you ladies and gentlemen from Missouri, don't laugh this one off entirely, at least until you've seen a sample of Mr. Garrity's services. I'm sorry, until you've seen a sample of Mr. Garrity's wares, an example of his services. The place is Happiness, Arizona. The time is 1890, and you and I have just entered a saloon where the bar whiskey is brewed, bottled, and delivered from the Twilight Zone.
I know we've talked in some episodes, maybe back in season one, about what that bar whiskey is and about how
Did you get? I got two vibes with this bar. I got Mr. Denton on Doomsday vibes from season one with that bar, kind
I
of.
think that's where we were talking about rot gut and like what goes into it. Yeah, which
Yeah.
was kind of
And then I
disturbing.
got like this bar could have fit in the same premise as Petticoat Junction and Green Acres and all them.
I
Like I could
was
see that.
this might be just to throw everyone's timeline into whack weirdness. I think Mark and I talk about that a little bit in the future on Come Wonder with Me. But yeah, like I never saw much of Petticoat Junction or Green Acres. For whatever reason, I understand that both of those shows are probably better than the Beverly Hillbillies, but that's what I saw because that was what was on TV in the afternoon when I was a kid in Atlanta.
Yeah. I watch it on Pluto TV, which is a free service channel that shows like old TV shows and new TV shows. So I catch a lot of Petticoat Junction, even though I'm a 35-year-old man. Hey,
Oh,
I watch some Petticoat Junction.
I'll have to take a closer look sometime. There is a thing that hillbilly madness becomes more appealing as you get older, I think. Like as you're a teenager, hillbilly madness is like the least appealing thing in the universe. So, uh, but then I don't know, weird, ragged looking people going around speaking in redneck accents and doing dumb stuff becomes more entertaining somehow. I don't know why. Maybe living in Japan helps too, for on my end. I'm not sure. Um, but. Yeah, we got the hillbilly bands. We have a very forlorn town. I did actually up in not Northern California, but I did the one trip I did take to California. We went through Owens Valley and Death Valley, and maybe it was between the two valleys, and found a town. And then my friend knew like a old abandoned mine, and we went exploring the old abandoned mine, and which wasn't a good idea, but we did it. And yeah, the town here definitely had me thinking of that.
Yeah. No, it has like a southern twang.
Yeah,
Definitely a little southern charm to it.
this one's Happy Town. No,
Like
it's not Happy Town.
it almost feels like it could have been in a way, it could have been a what was Earl Hamner Jr. It almost could have been an Earl Hamner Jr. episode.
Well, he might have rubbed off a little on Rod Serling by this point, because he's editing and running those scripts through the Twilight Zone gristmill, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
this
most
place is called
definitely.
Happiness, Arizona. There we go. Because
Yeah.
in
Yep.
Japan we have the perennial kid's favorite Ampamon, who is a superhero. His head is made of red bean bread bun, and he can feed his head to kids and stuff. And everyone under six loves Ampamon in Japan. Anyway, he lives in Happy Town, so I just kept wanting to call this Happy Town.
Well, my brain went to Muppets, and I might have been the only one that thought this. I was thinking of the Great Muppet Caper, and I was thinking of the Happy List Hotel.
Oh, geez.
It was
Yeah.
like
Okay.
Happiness Arizona, Happiness Hotel. I don't know. They kind of sounded familiar.
I was sitting there trying to work out, like, oh, Muppet. Why am I not think? Why did I not think of Muppets in this? Says a man with a Cookie Monster sitting back there, you know? So, yeah, I was like, hey, everything should appear Muppets to me. I don't know. I could see a Muppet Twilight Zone. They did what Muppet Haunted Mansion a couple years ago. That worked. Do a Muppet Twilight Zone. Kermit the Frog would be in this kind of swirling, right? You know,
I feel like if they would have did it, it would have been in Muppet Babies because they have pulled it off.
they probably did in Muppet Babies. Come to think of it, that must have happened at least once.
I remember they did Star Wars stuff in Muppet Babies.
Yeah, that was in the opening credits. I remember,
Yeah.
and in
Wasn't
an
Gonzo
episode.
wearing a no, we're off track here a little bit. Wasn't Gonzo wearing a Darth Vader helmet?
That
I think he
sounds
was.
familiar. I mean, the problem is I can like construct any of these images in my mind if they're not true. Like I can imagine the Muppets and I can imagine this episode with all Muppets. In fact, my memory is now I remember this episode being in color and the sheriff was blue with a pink nose and a unibrow. That's what I'm seeing now. You've now Muppeted this episode for me.
Sam the Eagle was there.
I thought the town was into their neuro-linguistic programming by changing the name so everyone's happy now. But no, 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 you've Muppeted the episode. And I thank you for this.
I mean, any excuse we can get to Muppets. I mean, I'm a Muppet maniac.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
you like Muppets.
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like kids these days don't know enough about Muppets. It's a lost art and it's sad.
I think that's what the 2010 movie was all about. Yeah.
Oh, are you talking? Oh, hang on. I thought you were talking about what's that one where Henson's son he made that really raunchy puppet movie. Oh, I forget what it's called.
Oh, Happy Town Murders or something?
Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that, but
Brian
boy,
Henson
was
made
that
that.
raunchy. Was
Right.
that raunchy?
Peter Jackson with Meet the Feebles. Yeah. Now this one, I guess, is a little more of a Frontierland vibe, you know. I did come in. I got this episode's number wrong at first when he comes into town. It's just the barkeep. I just assumed that like everyone in town had already been like killed through like blood feuds and grudges, and like this was the only guy left. Which that could have been a cool episode too, I guess.
So it's like in this town, you got Mr. Garrity. He's coming, and he claims he can raise the dead. And you got all these town folk that are kind of suspicious about it. They kind of want it at first, but then they don't want it, which makes me like I was kind of thinking too, okay, so what we got left in the town, we got a lot of like bumpkins. And it seemed like the ones that got killed off, those were like the criminals and maybe even some smarter people and stuff like that. I'm kind of wondering what this town would be like if it was the opposite, if all those bumpkins were the ones that were already been whatever happened to them, dead, murdered, all this other stuff. And you had the evil people still in the town. I
Maybe
kind of wondered what the opposite would be.
Deadwood, maybe. The name even works, right?
Yeah, dead.
Yeah, yeah, the gritty, violent, Western town. I mean, this is just a bunch of goofy. Again, I keep thinking of, like Frontierland. I'm looking for Big Thunder, Country Bears, Hungry Bear Cafe hanging around here. 100 yen the shooting gallery.
I was waiting for the guy to come out of I forget
Sorry,
the
go to
character's
Tokyo
name in this.
Disneyland. That's why it's 100 yen the shooting gallery. That was confusing if you don't know that.
I was waiting for them to start singing around of how dry I am from Mr. Denton on Doomsday.
Yeah, that episode, I still feel. I mean, not to cut to the chase, I do feel like I hold that episode in higher regard. Is it because of the acting strength of Mr. Denton? I feel like that
Martin
had higher
Landau,
caliber
maybe he gave it
actors.
ratings because Martin Landau is
That
that funny.
helps, yeah. Just but across the board, like no one everyone in here is like okay, but like the townspeople, like none of them particularly stuck in my head. Mr.
No,
Garrity
except for
sticks in your
maybe the
head.
bartender and then the guy with the top hat. I can't remember his name. That guy gave me Mickey Rooney vibes, by the way.
Ah,
You know
okay.
the one I'm talking about, the one with the top hat, kind of looked like he was a mayor or something.
Was that
Love-
Jensen? Oh, there's Mr. Guberman. Yeah. That's the thing. Like I could have kept going with the trivia. There's Percy Hilton as Lapham, Norman Levitt as Sheriff Gilchrist, Edgar Deering as first resurrected man. But I'm just like, I looked at the first couple and there wasn't much trivia. It's like, I don't even remember who these people were in the episode. And I was like, well, if I don't remember who they are, it is, I guess this. Mr. Denton has the weird character study of Mr. Denton, whereas this one is just like, here's a funny situation. Hey, isn't it funny that everyone thinks it would be great to bring back their deceased loved ones and then has a second thought, which is funny. I mean, I get where that story was appealing.
And this story kind of feels like a story that's been told over time, but it hadn't been told in 1964 yet. Like,
Yeah.
the whole I can do this, I can do that, I can, and nobody believes them, and then they try to make them think that they can really do this. And there's even a dog involved, which I swear I've seen con artists with dogs involved in things before. Like, was that the first time we've seen that? Was in the Twilight Zone
Yeah, I mean,
having a
this is
dog?
prime time to be a snake oil salesman. I guess the twist is he actually can raise the dead. Doesn't know it.
Yeah. I mean, he just doesn't know until he leaves and collects
Right, right.
everybody's money.
What did he do to raise the dead, though? I feel like you'd have to do something proactive to make that
Maybe it's
actually
a
happen.
maybe it's a situation of karmatic events, like it's an act of God or something. Like I'm not a totally religious person, but it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna really make it show that you can raise the dead. You just don't know it.
And you'll never
And
know because you keep going to the next town.
and maybe it's a karmatic event because when these people have the dead raised, maybe it's owed to them to come back and finish whatever business they had before they died. Like that lady Zelda, the wife of the guy I'm calling Mickey Rooney.
Mr.
He said
Gooberman.
was that J. Pat
See, when
O'Malley's
she said
character?
Zelda, the name Zelda Gooberman definitely stuck in my head. Yeah, and that's
She
J
said
J.
she was going to come back and break her other husband's or her husband, break her husband's other arm. She was going to finish the job. So see, she had unfinished business.
Yeah, they all have unfinished business.
One guy got
Hey,
shot in the back by the sheriff, I think it was.
right?
One
I
guy
was
shot his brother.
a few
But
weeks
yeah,
ago. I
go
just
ahead.
rewatched the movie Ghost, which I hadn't seen for a while. I watched it a
I
bunch back in the day, but Patrick
I
Swayze, Whoopi
love that
Goldberg,
movie.
yeah, and it still holds up really good. It's a very good movie still. But yeah, that has the whole unfinished business thing, but then he's a ghost and he has to learn ghost skills and all that sort of thing where these are just straight up zombies coming back out of the ground. Like that's the thing, having seen too many Romero films, I am like, were they all falling apart? They were just kind of coming out of the ground and just looking slightly dirty here, right? They weren't like all like gory.
If this would have been a Night Gallery episode 5, 10 years later, you probably would have got a little more effect,
Right,
a
but that
little
would have been
more.
after Night of the Living Dead. It would have been expected after
Yeah,
that, you know?
because there is in the pilot episode of Night Gallery, one of the episodes in the pilot, there is kind of a Raising Dead episode. I forget if you actually get to see the person or not. If it's only through a, I don't want to spoil nothing for you, but yeah, I forget you actually see the person or not. But yeah,
Right, right,
you
right.
see him in a painting, but you also yeah. I won't go into too much.
All right. Sorry, I was fact checking myself about which Star Trek episode this guy wrote, but I was correct, so that's good. Uh,
The
see,
sheriff in this episode didn't look like he could do nothing. Like like if you know what hit the fan, like I don't trust that guy to save the whole town. He looks pretty scrawny.
I did think it was funny. Like I almost felt like they shouldn't have shown us Zelda at the end after he's seen her just describing her as 247 pounds and such, and I'm like,
I don't know. I feel good that we got to see her because yeah, we she had to throw in that line like, "Wait till I get that husband of mine, I'll break his other arm." Remember she said.
yeah, yeah. I am finding with these later, especially second half of season 5 episodes, I'm like, is this a comedy episode? Like maybe that's good for the show that it's harder to just be like, this is a comedy episode, you know? Because this is towing
Uh,
that line a little bit. It's definitely doing better in the
yeah, it is kind of toting.
what was the stuntman that ends up in the real Old West Rance, whatever, McGrew, like
Showdown
that.
with Rance McGrew, where
Yeah, like that's kind of like I feel like is a
yeah,
slightly better version of that vibe.
that's a guilty pleasure episode, by the way. I mean, Showdown with Rance McGrew. A lot of people
Okay.
dislike that episode, but it's a guilty pleasure one I have for some reason.
Well, how do you compare this one with it? Just because, yeah, just
Oh,
because
this one's
that
better.
guy's an accident. Okay, because that guy's an accidental
This
con artist because he's a stuntman. Which he never told anyone he's a cowboy. He was literally a stuntman. This guy at least is like claiming he can raise the dead and doing it too.
Yeah, and he has a partner in crime and he's got a dog in crime. It's like a three-man job. They go from town to town, and I wonder if they go from state to state or they just hit up all. It's like, do they just go? hit up state or city to city, and then once they're done with the state, they go to the next state. Like, man,
This is
this could be a
territory of
booming business.
territory at this time, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you don't even think of it that way. It's like we were
Oh
talking about
yeah, the
how,
1890s.
yeah,
Or
they're
yeah, that's what it's in.
territories, and it's like how, countries didn't even kind of exist until like 200 years ago, you know?
And it's weird. I didn't think Arizona was around in 1890.
Well, the land was there, people were there.
No, it
Arizona
was
was
there,
not,
but I
but
didn't think it was actually called Arizona. For
I don't
some
think
reason, I
it
didn't think that came until later
was.
because it says Happiness, Arizona.
Yeah, but you are trusting 60s set designers on that one. So the reality of the situation, now you're making me wonder. So,
I really like that plaque they had at the beginning of the episode too about the whole memorial and the people that died, and that's a nice little shot too. Seeing that whole
yeah.
plaque.
I know there's been other towns that actually have done this in reality where, towns that have changed their name. Um,
Hmm.
Sometimes a wild swing, kind of like this one. Towns that have changed their names. Sorry, I'm doing the live search and seeing if I can find a good example of this. Bombay to Mumbai, Madras to Chennai. Oh, I don't even know that. Okay. These aren't fun examples though. These are like international. Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy. Nothing particularly weird that I found here. Okay, these are all international things, but I guess it's not that weird for a place to change your name. So
Yeah.
even here, like I live in Wada City, but there's Martico. I'm in Oya. They used to be their own cities, and then they decided it was easier just to make them all their own, like one big
How f- how far
city.
are you from Yokohama?
If I took if I were to go the fastest way I can right now, I could be there in 2.5 hours, maybe.
Oh, I was watching some Japanese wrestling last night when they were in Yokohama.
I will be in Yokohama on Wednesday, but that's
Nice.
gonna go to the ramen museum, which is made. It's an indoor place, but it's made to look like outdoor, and then they have a bunch of ramen from around Japan. So I think you can make your own cup of noodle there.
Makes me think of that episode of The Office. I don't know if you ever watched The Office, but Michael Scott's walking around New York and he sees that giant cup of noodles.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I wonder how
No,
much sodium's in that thing.
yeah. No, I'm one of those guys that watched The Office until Michael Scott disappeared and Jim and Pam get married, and I was like, why? What's the point of watching this now? You know?
I'm just now watching it. Like I have never gotten to like I've seen some episodes here and there, but now I'm watching all the episodes and I'm watching the super fan episodes where I guess they add extra bonus footage in there and stuff like that.
Think I might have those because I have the DVDs. I think that's what's on those. But unlike the Twilight Zone, you just get what you get with this. I don't think we have any like missing footage from the Twilight Zone, do we? Is there no like deleted scenes from any of this stuff?
Um, I mean, if there was, they would be on the Blu-rays, but I don't think giving up what stuff on the cutting room floor was big back in that time.
No,
You know,
especially on TV week to week. Yeah, you wouldn't keep that stuff. That's got to be a
like
more
Night
modern
Gallery
thing.
does that. Once you open up your box set of Night Gallery, you'll see there's like a couple episodes where they'll be like, "Oh, this was the TV version, and this was the unedited version."
Yeah, that's usually what we get with the Space 1999. Like here's a slight variant on the episode, you
Yeah.
know. So, but
Like it was weird. Like one of the Night Gallery episodes was like a minute and a half. And it was like, is there really that much of a difference?
yeah, yeah. On this podcast, I'm like, I guess I just need to do them in like whatever broadcast that night and stitch them together. Because the 80s zone does that too. I think the 80s zone has like a 7 minute episode somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hey, I just wrote my notes and Mark has been suggesting maybe partly as a joke, but if episodes could be backdoor pilots. And I felt like this had a weird sting to it. Like you said, this guy goes from town to town, like doing this stuff
This
each
could
week, and
be. Yeah.
yeah, this could have been again a better backdoor pilot than Cavinder is coming probably, but
No, don't you disparage the name of Carol Burnett. It was just her 92nd birthday the other day.
I believe we were speaking highly of her, just not anything
I
else
mean,
in the
that was me,
episode.
you, and we're bringing up a lot of episodes that I was on. That was me, you, and Luke.
Yeah, yeah, we're hitting a weird
I feel like Luke
convergence
hasn't been on
somehow.
his own in a while. I think he was on one season 5 episode.
Yeah, that's right. He is due for one. Um, I'm thinking of other resurrection stories that we get. I mean, if we get it religious, there's Lazarus. Although Jesus just did that. I don't remember him telling people he's going to do that first, did he?
I'm not up
Have
on my Bible knowledge. I don't know off the
Same
top of
here,
my head.
but I don't think he was bragging about it like Mr. Garrity or anything. I think he just went and did it. I did think of the alien or the future tech or whatever is in Spielberg's AI movie, right? Where it's like we can bring someone back for one day, which that's a trippy one.
Oh, you're talking about that. Are you talking about AI with Haley Joel Osment?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then when he's
Yeah,
in the distant future, like we can bring your
man.
mom back for one day
Talk
with our
about a
high
movie I
technology.
put. Talk about a movie I put in a vault in my head and locked away. That was a that was a memory unlocked right there, bringing that movie up.
I would recommend revisiting that one. That actually has aged really well, and I would probably rate that as one of Spielberg's better movies at this point. I mean, I
Hmm.
kind of liked it okay when it came out, but it seemed kind of weird, clunky. You knew that it was like, well, what part of this was Kubrick, and then you would watch it thinking that. But now watching it, I watched it recently. I was like, this actually holds up very well. So would recommend a review of that. Let's see what I write quote wise. The only quote I wrote down, which is fantastic, is the cosmic impulses tonight are incredible. I do need to find a way to slip that into like casual conversation.
When he was rounding up the money too, like when people started getting a whiff, like, oh, they're coming back from the dead, and people were starting to pay Mr.
I'm starting to
Garrity to
smell the dead.
reverse them services. He started with 750, and I was thinking the bartender or whatever, this guy had 750 just laying there, and he take it out of the till. Like, what if 750, man? I don't see this bar making 750 in one day with those
Sheriff got
customers.
extra screwed on those prices, of course.
Yeah, yep.
Um, just before that, that is where I'm starting to be like, is this about to be a zombie attack? I mean, that when they have the not the patsy guy coming in pretending he's the brother or whatever. Our brain's gonna get eaten. Here's another thought I had, which would have been cool if they did this. This would have been a nice money shot as well. I do like the people coming out of graves, but this would have been a cool place to use have Mr. Garrity faking people the Pepper's ghost effect, with the screen, and then you reflect light and it's in the whatever's in the other room. Use that on the Haunted Mansion and stuff.
I felt we could have got one more shot, and that was like, I mean, it's nice when you leave things to your imagination, but one more shot of just, I don't know, maybe Zelda entering and the husband going, "Oh no."
Well, then we would have a pure comedy episode, maybe, right?
Yeah.
That is the strength of this one, that it does not quite dip its toe into that. It even had a little bit of Mickey Mousing music, but it wasn't too bad. Not like some other episodes that have driven me insane. Like I felt like it showed like restraint into just not quite pressing that button as hard as it could, which was nice, I think.
Yeah, the music wasn't really noticeable for me too much in this episode. And
Lots
I
more
forgot, who did you say
harmonicos.
did
That
this?
it
Who
was
did the
I
score?
I didn't put in
Was
the
this
trivia. It
Scott?
was the same guy who's done a few in the past, who's like that Hollywood harmonica guy, basically. Um,
Mhm.
so I'll bring up his name in a moment. I'm thinking
Basically, if
Splash Mountain, of course, because well, I was on Splash Mountain not long
basically as
ago.
long as they don't have the same soundtrack as the Bard, you're good. Or
Right.
the Bear.
Well, yeah, that was Van Cleve. Where this is Tommy Morgan, who's the harmonica man, basically.
Hmm.
Oh no, he died in 2022, aged 89. Active until 2013. Man, he plays on Good Vibrations. Okay. Yeah. Collaborators, right? I'm just trying to see what his last thing. Red Dead Redemption soundtrack. So I guess he was doing some harmonica on there. Huh.
Wow.
So
That's an
yeah, I
amazing
guess
video
okay.
game.
Well, anyway, late stage trivia for that guy. I do remember doing some trivia on him before, though, so I didn't quite feel the need to push that. But especially since I had so many actors to trivialize.
Yeah, plus the music wasn't really memorable or anything,
No, no.
It's
Again, if it was memorable, that probably would have been a problem. That would have pushed into the comedy, the kind of comedy episode I don't like.
it's all like Sounds and Silences where you're queuing out a shanty,
Oh yeah,
or
I was all
Popeye.
into the shanties though. That was great. Yeah, give me some shanties. Before I get to some questions, are there any other big things you want to throw out on this?
As far as John Denner episodes go, we didn't get to see him too much in The Lonely.
No, he's
Um,
he's the captain on the ship, is he?
yeah, one of the I think is he Allenby? I don't know if he's Allenby. He
I
might be
think
Allenby.
yeah, he's definitely
And
not the
then
dude on the
um
planet.
and then we got him in the jungle, and I like the jungle. A lot of people don't really like that one. But yeah, I think this was his best appearance out of the three.
I would go with that. I mean, his name's in the title for the one, or his character's name's in the title, and he owns that. Like I said, I remember him. It's like everyone else I can't quite remember, you know?
Yeah, and then one person I forget who they said looked like him. Oh, somebody tried to say he looked like Vic Morrow. I didn't get that. And then
Uh,
somebody said he looks like Droopy the dog. I'm like, what?
yeah,
Droopy the dog.
that's what Walter Matthau looks like. Tom Bosley.
Yeah, Happy Days, Tom Bosley. Yeah,
Yeah. Let's do some questions. Who in this episode goes in or through the Twilight Zone?
I guess the town goes through the Twilight Zone. I mean, everybody in that town that saw what they saw, at least the ones that saw the bartender. I'm blanking on his name, but the guy with the mustache and the bald head, the bartender one where he sees his brother coming. That guy probably felt like he went into the Twilight Zone, even though it wasn't really the ghost of his brother. It was that guy's it was Mr. Garrity's helper.
See, I would
But
agree that the town is about to go through the Twilight Zone when all these dead people show up. Up to
well,
that
here's where
point, haven't they just been doing Mr. Garrity's con game show, right? Which would lead me to believe Mr. Garrity is the one going through the Twilight Zone because he thinks he's conning people, but he actually has the power, you know?
here's the thing about Mr. Garrity and the townspeople though. And this is where it also hurt the tripometer gets a little hard to pinpoint. So the trippiness and who goes into the Twilight Zone, that doesn't really take effect, I feel, until after the town dead has been raised. And we don't get a shot at anybody seeing that.
I think this is an episode where 98% of it is one of those episodes where maybe there's nothing supernatural at all. Mr. Garrity's just running this con game, but we do, they just, the twist is like, haha, it actually is a Twilight Zone.
Yeah. I
So
mean, as far as season five, would you feel this was a good twist? Like, or would you feel like, oh, it's, I mean, try to put yourself in that mindset in 1964. Like,
I
don't think
am.
about it then.
I think because of that being like basically one of the first, especially one of the first mass zombie shots, like when we did have the dead rays and like earlier things, like I don't think it was like a whole bunch of things. It's just one mummy or one white zombie or whatever. I've actually never seen that movie, but you know, um, one cat per that doesn't even make sense. Anyway, yeah, I think that having it has something original going for it because I was just talking about Stopover in a Quiet Town with some folks. We're like, nothing here is new, right? It's like greatest hits of the Twilight Zone. This one maybe is a little bit clunky where it doesn't have the best acting that the show has. It doesn't have the best soundtrack, but it is doing something a little different. We haven't been in this corner of the Twilight Zone before.
Yeah. Yeah, I still need to listen to your thoughts on Stopover in a Quiet Town because I heard you talk a little bit about it on another podcast. And I was really surprised you didn't like that episode. Or I think I think I might have heard you said you made it it felt like a familiar season one episode. I think you
Yeah,
said it felt like it was Where Is Everybody kind of.
my take on it is it's a very well made one. All the parts are good, the music's good, the acting's good, the flow's good. It's just but all the ideas feel like a greatest hits of the show. This one's a little clunkier of an episode, but yeah, I think it's 1964 zombies are not on people's minds, so it is going somewhere a little new.
Yeah.
Because I was like almost jokingly saying zombies because I know I'm watching a 1964 TV program,
Yeah.
as
Or
I'm
what do they
anticipating where this episode's going because I hadn't seen it before. I'm pretty sure.
forget what do they call them in The Walking Dead? What do they call zombies? Do they call them walkers or there's some kind
That's
of different word for them. They
yeah.
didn't call them zombies.
I have like 5 seasons that I picked up in one of the Blu-ray apocalypses, but I've only seen the first episode of The Walking Dead. So
I was one of those people that joined it late, caught up to it, and then once Glenn got his oh yeah, once stuff happened and certain people got killed off, then
right.
that's why I don't want to spoil anything.
No,
I
that's
try to
fine.
be spoiler friendly with people.
I got the Japanese disc. I could play them on my car. That could be fun. I could drive while watching The Walking Dead and then to crash into something and become a zombie. Yeah. I guess people drive and watch TV now. Is that a thing in the States?
That is, I
Okay.
still get scared when people drive in the car with me and text.
Ah.
I'm like, why you got to do that?
I've never watched TV while driving. I will say that. So,
No, I
um,
mean, I understand listening to a podcast while driving, but
yeah. So let's put the question, I guess, on both of our answers for if they deserve their trip in the Twilight Zone. Let's start with the townspeople. Because will they experience this con game, which I'm not saying it's Twilight Zone. When maybe, well, I think we are saying that the Twilight Zone's really going to kick in after this episode ends. So, do they deserve that? They did pay Mr. Garrity to go away and not have their dead raised, so now they're getting exactly what they didn't pay for.
I would feel like they got rid of their family members, their ex-wives, their ex-husband, whatever it is. They got rid of him on the nefarious means. Some of them, like one of them, even said, he shot his brother in the back, and that little karma needs to be dished out. I feel,
Yeah,
even if these were bad people.
So Mr. Garrity is kind of double real accidentally dooming these folks, basically.
Yeah, maybe
Uh,
part of the whole plan that he has, like he knows which towns to go to, which town had certain people in it, and
like a reverse My Name is Earl.
damn, I wish that show would have got a proper ending. I'm still even about that.
But how about Mr. Garrity? He's just like Mr. Magooing through this episode in the end because he is causing wild supernatural things to happen and just going about his business basically with with a
He seems
pocket
very
full of
cocky
cash.
about it though, too. And
Well,
like
I
the way
guess he
he's
can
collecting
be if he
everybody's
does
money.
this all the time.
It'd be funny, if like one time he's doing this in the city and then he takes a U-turn, comes back real quick and sees what he's done.
Should he have had
Like,
comeuppance? There's a thought. Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. There's a deleted scene which you can see on the Blu-ray or the DVD where it has Jimmy Stewart and oh God, what's her name? Uh, Sitting and listening to the radio where you find out that the guy that set up the whole situation has been like arrested in Europe because it's like, no, this guy that the villain has to have comeuppance, right? So they filmed the scene in case the censors were like, the villain has to have comeuppance. Mr.
mhm.
Garrity has no comeuppance at all. He's again pocket full of cash. He doesn't even know what he's done at the end of this, other than he, con people out of their money. He doesn't know that he also has just incited a zombie apocalypse.
I'm thinking beyond the episode and thinking like once he goes to all the towns and everybody's all done doing what they need to do after the race and they finally come after him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that is where this makes a does should be a backdoor pilot. Totally bizarro Western, a zombie Western.
Mhm.
Could have been a good idea. Uh, so Wheel of Karma for the town folks. Mr. Garrity probably deserves more. I don't know. You want to add on? Disagree?
Does his
Agree?
accomplice deserves more? Does the dog deserve any karma? Does the dog
The
deserve comeuppance?
the dog has been
It,
trained to do that. Ace is basically, he's like what? He gets buried under Mr. Burns, right? Like Smithers is going to in that crypt.
like I guess, and he could pay his partner the money for helping him. What does the dog get paid in? I hope he buys that dog a steak every
Kibble.
once in a while.
Dog is paid in kibble.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and put this on the tripometer. Zero's not trippy. Five's very trippy. I'm hovering between two numbers. Let's see if what you say affects me.
I'm hovering between 2.5 and 3. Is that too high? And I'm
Um,
and I'm taking into the effect of the final shot of the town being raised from the dead.
my answer is exactly the same as yours with that explanation, except I'm thinking 2.0 or 2.5. But yeah, it's that
Mm,
final shot. I'm like, that's the key here where it goes. Um, Otherwise, it's just a weird grift episode with some woo woo.
yeah. Like I guess they could have went like this wouldn't have been Twilight Zone way, but they could have found out he was a fraud and they all demanded their money back. But
Yeah.
that
Well,
wouldn't
for
have been Twilight
funsies,
Zone.
maybe you call it three, I call it a two, and it balances out to a
I think I'll
2.5.
settle on a 2.5. I'll
Okay.
settle with 2.5.
I'm going to be even more confused and go with 2.25 now, and people have to do the math
Well,
if they feel like it.
I'll pull a Luke and I'll throw an Arnold sound at you.
Okay.
No, hang on. How many bananas would you give Mr. Garrity?
Do we have he gets those old bananas though. He gets the bananas that are like no longer available to us because they were like diseased out. So I'm gonna give him an old-timey banana. Two, him and Ace. Three, the dog gets one too. Three old-timey bananas that we have never tasted because we're too young for that.
Even before Dole was around.
Yeah. Um, is there anything, do you want to give us episode bananas?
Oh, yeah, give this episode 3 bananas. I'll do what
Okay.
you did. Give him one to the dog, one to Ace, one to
Yeah.
Mr. Garrity.
View for the road. Yeah. So,
And I'm gonna give it 4 bananas. The town can fight over the final banana.
okay. Well, they're all Now the dead are living and the living are dead, the next day here. That's how it works.
The dead and the living can fight over the last banana.
The dead speak. Um, any final thoughts you want to throw on this episode in general?
No, I'm just glad if this was my last appearance on the original Twilight Zone run, I'm glad I ended it with one that I really enjoyed.
Okay, glad to hear that. I will be ending with a bewitching pool, which I haven't heard good things about, so we'll see.
No, and if you haven't seen the episode, you'll discover why very quickly when you do watch the episode.
Okay, well, I will
You
be
don't know
soon.
anything about it.
Yep. That's for us. We are Time Enough Podcast. Do rate and review where applicable. We do lots of podcasting at podcastios.org. Same thing on Patreon. I put up episodes a little early. I guess as you've been learning, it tends to be on a Sunday if you're in the States when those drop. Films and Filth, we talk about really good and really bad films according to Internet Movie Database users. Podcast 1999, we've been talking about Planet of the Apes TV series, which is why we are discussing bananas. And you get into Luke Love's Pokemon, Game Show, Monster Mash, and all that. All right. I guess I'm leaving this town. I hope I don't leave any dead bodies behind. Rising. Rising. Blah. I don't even know what that ending means, but yeah.
Yeah, I let you get the final word on that one. I didn't know how to come back from that one.
Okay.
I
No,
didn't know what my final word would have been.
well, sometimes I like Mark especially, where I'm just sitting there waiting for Mark to just say things for a minute till he stops. Which I think is yesterday's recording too, but that's fine. He gives me like he's giving me takes. I get like five different places I can cut.
So you probably got as many episodes left of Space 1999. Oh no, you got as many episodes left as the Planet of the Apes TV series you do Twilight Zone, right? Like two or three.
Fewer. The Planet of Apes only has
Really?
we only need to record one more episode, which I think Brian wants to come on for, so I might have to skip a week, but because of my own schedule. But we'll see how that works out.
Brian the Brain.
Yes, yes, yes. Who of course is on the Brains. Well, have I posted Brain Center Wimple yet, or am I
Yeah,
doing that today?
yeah.
Okay. After I talk to you, I'm going to take the train. I'm going to
No,
get a pizza, go to the hot
the
spring, come
only
back, and then
one,
post.
the only one you didn't post yet was Come Wander with Me. I don't know if
Okay,
you're
wait.
waiting.
That makes that I'm going to do that in this one today, then probably. Do I have anything else in the chamber? Gun Day? Does that ring a bell?
But
Gun Day?
was that episode 19 or Space 1999?
No, that
Or I mean
is Films and
podcast
Filth.
1999?
That's Films and
Oh
Filth.
no.
It's an
I
Indian
think
movie, so you'll be getting Gun Day too.
the last sets of films and filth you put up was Bratz, Django Unchained, and one other one I'm forgetting.
Look at my folder. Come Wonder with Me. Gun Day. This is that's a game show, which Luke would have posted. There's the encounter. Stop her own brain center. American Beauty. I posted that,
Yes,
right?
that's the other one you posted. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, all I need to do is Gun Day and the two Twilight Zones. So I'll be doing that a little later. Oh yes, I don't know. Well, you've probably heard it because I think it is recorded. I did finally start watching Severance because I have a vacation week and not so many podcasts. Have you seen Severance?
How do people watch that and not have Apple TV? Like, how do people find that show?
You can stream anything
Sell,
if you know where to
sell the
look.
high seas? Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I hear just so many people watch it. I'm like, there can't be this many people that have Apple Plus.
Not that everyone has Apple Plus. But yeah, and then one day I'll maybe next holiday I'll finally get around to Andor. We'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to not notice Severance though, because I'm a part of a few Twilight Zone groups on Facebook, and they've been popping up. When like I think there was one episode that was like an homage to the After Hours, and I heard Mark talk about it too.
I mean, the whole setup of the show is extremely
Yeah, because Ben
Twilight Zone.
Stiller, I guess, was a huge
Do you know the
Twilight Zone
general
fan.
plot, the concept of the show?
Oh, kind of refresh me. I'm forgetting.
Do you want me to? Because I actually did not. I had no clue what the
You can
premise
you
of the
can
show
go
was.
ahead because I probably won't get around to it for a little while.
Okay, it's a company, and they're working. They say they're working with your sensitive materials. I'm sure there's twists, turns, and lies as the show goes on, but you have to have the severance procedure to work in this floor. So when you get this thing put into your brain, and when you take the elevator to this workspace, your memories are like bifurcated. So when you're outside, you don't remember anything that happens inside, and when you're inside, you don't remember anything that happens outside. So So the people, it's like it's still them, but it's these versions of them they can't remember and they're outside that basically just always work. Because when they walk out the door at the end of the day,
Yeah.
from their perspective, they're coming right back in the door, and it's time
And
for another new day.
I'm guessing there's one person that doesn't have their thing put in properly and they kind of have to question everything.
Yeah, of the first episode, like one guy suddenly disappears from the workspace, and where'd Petey go? Oh, Petey's fired.
Yeah, I
That's
think I
weird.
did
And
read that part. Yeah, that's
okay,
what it
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
kicks off with somebody
But yeah, you get
disappearing.
John Turturro, Christopher Walken, who else in there? Patricia
Uh,
Arquette,
Adam
Don
Scott?
Cherry rocks out of the freaking park,
His
Adam
name Adam
Scott,
Scott? Yeah.
and I feel like I've said something bad about Adam Scott in the past, but he's not. He's very good in this.
He's got to
I
look
guess he
like he
looks
could
so
be a real.
smarmy, you know. I
Yeah, he
think maybe
does.
he's in Step Brothers. It's probably because of Step Brothers, you
That's
know.
why when he played
He
Derek.
he
Yeah.
plays such a rank bastard in Step Brothers. It's hard
Yeah, he
to.
does. Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
so funny to watch that first and then go watch Parks and Rec. Have you ever watched Parks and Rec?
I haven't seen much of that. So yeah,
Okay, because
yeah,
he's in that too.
he's in Star Trek First Contact. I guess, is he Lieutenant Hawk?
Oh, I saw on Paramount one of your guys' Star Trek shows is it New Discovery or something? What's the name of
Strange
the
New
show?
Worlds is coming back
Strange New
soon.
Worlds, that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know why I
Discovery's
thought.
finished. So um, the only one I've really been rewatching because I got most of the disc. I got complete sets of Picard, complete set of Discovery, complete set of Lower Decks, in the first two seasons of Strange New World, and Lower Decks is the one that gets watched the most. So,
Yeah,
which I
that's the
mean, just
cartoon version one, right?
yeah. There's also Prodigy, which I haven't gotten on disc yet, but that's the more serious CG cartoon, whereas Lower Decks is like the Rick and Morty Simpsons sort of thing.
Are you a fan of Black Mirror? Have you checked out the new season at
I've
all?
only seen the the Callus to the space one, right? That is the show we might get to at some point. So I know Jessica Lamberti, who's been on a few of these, is like you need to do Black Mirror at some point. So maybe we will at some point.
I
Oh,
recommend the Paul Giamatti episode called Eulogy. It's really
okay.
good.
I do need to run off to get this train in a few minutes, but
All good.
I was going to ask you if you are interested. I'm going to do the four. Sorry, I'm going to do the Force film versions of Serling's like TV. Does that make sense? Like his
Oh, like
Playhouse,
you're gonna do patterns and
but
7 days in
the
May
film
and
versions.
okay, so like I know there's two different versions of
Right. So
Requiem for a Heavyweight.
I boiled this down to four, which I will, because there is one or two where he completely wrote the screenplay as well, but we're not on TV. So I decided the smartest thing to do would be to, sorry, I'm just scrolling through his biography at the moment. Storm, not that. This is all television. Patterns, Requiem for a Heavyweight. I think there were
Seven
two
Days in
more.
May is another one.
Yes,
And
yes,
then
that's one. And there's one more.
yeah.
They make it
I usually
hard.
see these movies that pop up in the Facebook group.
His
I'll
creator,
post
his
about them.
writer, Saddle to Wind, I think.
Is that his Western show?
That's
Because he
his
also did a Western
Western
show.
movie. He did a show,
Okay.
but this is his movie. Yellow Canary, no, adapted from a novel. I'm going to say no to that. Incident in an Alley, from a story by, but not screenplay by. So yeah, it's, what's the rack? Based on, oh, I have to do the rack. Patterns, the rack, Requiem for a Heavyweight, 7 Days in May. Maybe Sail the Wind wasn't one. Anyway, I'm gonna do those bi-weekly between Twilight Zone and the Peel one. So
Yeah, if you want, and I'll always be down whenever you eventually get to Night Gallery. I'll
right,
always be
right.
down for that.
I
And
think I've
if
told you before that the trajectory will be Peel then Night Gallery. So
oh,
it's
okay,
I'm
so
not
you're
going.
going
I'm following Mark's Twilight Zone vortex.
Mark
Yeah,
created this order, yeah.
he created the order. So okay, I'll catch you later then. Thank you for pinch
Okay.
hitting today. That's yeah. I won't have to skip a week now, which I might have had to do. Okay,
All
and
right,
in the
I'll get
recording